About a month ago on the channel, a video detailed players who left their club a year before a premiership win. It only seems fitting to do a part 2, but looking at the opposite outcome, when a player leaves a team and in his first season at his new club becomes a premiership player. If you haven't seen the first video, it'll be in the top right hand corner of the screen if you want to check it out. But for now, let's have a look at some players who should be thankful for what they wish for in the AFL. By the start of 2018, the noise surrounding Tom Lynch was already building. The then 25-year-old was coming off the back of a 44-goal season that followed up his 63 goals in 2016. He would have likely reached the 50 mark if not for a PCL injury in round 20. It was the 4th season straight he led the Suns goal kicking, but for all the individual efforts he was displaying, there was little team reward. One of the efforts to keep him and Stephen May was made late in 2016 when both were appointed as captains. It didn't work. All the major papers and outlets believe Lynch would receive record offers from the Suns and Victorian clubs. His 2018 season was one of his worst. He battled an ankle injury and a recurrence of the PCL, managing 10 games for just 20 goals. Despite this, his value kept increasing. It got a little nasty as he admitted to the Sun staff he was out, and he essentially was blacklisted from the club and immediately stripped of the captaincy.
Very excited to join Tigerland and officially become a Tiger today. It's great to finally be official and deal's done and we can sort of get on with getting back into it.
In the end, it was either Collingwood or Richmond, but the Tigers' offer was too good to refuse as he signed a 7-year, $6.5 million deal. His first year at Tigerland would be one of his best. There was considerable pressure and Lynch made it to round 1 despite having more knee surgery in the off-season. His 16 goals in the first 4 games made an instant impact. A dip came in rounds 5 to 12 and it was clear something was nagging Lynch. In summary, the quote-unquote slow burn to get Lynch back to his best was well worth it. The top-up player he was to get Richmond in the grand final worked perfectly. The partnership with Riewoldt was firing and his 5-goal, 10-mark preliminary final against Geelong got them in the grand final.
There goes to Lynch at full forward. So here they go again, and Lynch on the end of it. He kicked the first goal of the season on that Thursday night, and he's guided it through, and the Tigers...
He played all 25 games and in total returned 63 goals. It's the equal most goals he has kicked for Richmond in a season and is the only time he has played every game. Was he the difference maker in 2019 compared to 2018? Maybe. He has gone on to win another premiership in 2020 and won the best and fairest in 2022. $6.5 million spent very well. I'm not sure how many times this has happened before. What about 3 players in 3 different years all in a row joining a premiership team? That's what the Hawks through smart trading and free agency did. Starting off in 2012 when Brian Lake made the call to join Hawthorn. He would be 31 by the start of the 2013 season and it was unclear what his role would be, especially as the Western Bulldogs were beginning to rebuild. His agent Marty Pask recently revealed a late night conversation brought up the idea. Pask told Lake to lose some weight and understand his role would be different in the future for any AFL club. Hawthorn took the punt on the 2-time All-Australian, giving up picks 21 and 43. A cork thigh delayed his start, but he took off in round 5. He was another piece of the puzzle in defence, and although he wasn't quite the same player he was in the late 2000s, he fit in nicely. 17 disposals and 8 marks per game translated into wins, and his shining moment was in the 2013 grand final.
Winner of the Norm Smith medal is Brian Lake.
An unlikely Norm Smith medalist and bargain pickup in hindsight that would play in all 3 grand finals. Big boy Ben McAvoy didn't have such an easy ride to his premiership medallion. The Saints, similar to the Bulldogs, traded McAvoy out after his request, getting in picks 18 and 19, helping to start their own rebuild. After Max Bailey retired, Hawthorn did have an open ruck spot, with McAvoy looking to be the number one man. He played the first 2 rounds, but young ruck John Segler took his spot, and although Hawthorn were a consistent side, neither ruckman could grab a hold of the position. McAvoy only played 11 home and away season games and was dropped at round 21. The qualifying and preliminary finals saw Segler be very quiet, totalling just 38 hitouts, 20 disposals and 4 marks in the 2 games. Luckily for McAvoy, experience may have just helped him, and with a good run in the VFL, he was one of the ruckmen on grand final day.
Still pinching myself, and won't be much of an interview because I can't find words to describe this. It's just awesome.
Along with David Hale, the 2 big men did their roles, with McAvoy finishing with 15 disposals and 14 hitouts. It would be after this, McAvoy's role would grow, winning another grand final in 2015 and captaining the club in 2021 and 2022. The last of the trifecta is James Frawley. After 139 games for Melbourne, the reliable defender made the switch to the Hawks. After 34 wins in 8 years at Melbourne, Frawley was in a good team for the first time in his career. He suffered a pec injury in round 2 and a shoulder dislocation in round 13. Both games were against Essendon. He played every game from round 18 onwards, and his 4 finals were good, with his prelim and grand finals exceptional. He blanketed West Coast Josh Kennedy, holding him to 0 goals while gathering 22 disposals himself. All 3 were shrewd pickups and fit the holes that Hawthorn had in their team. Ross Lyon had a simple response to the media when Luke Ball walked out. That, being the failed trade to Collingwood, was the decision we made at the time, and we stand by that. Did we want nothing for him? No. Let's be clear on this. Luke wasn't traded or delisted. Luke walked out on St Kilda, of which he had $1 million plus contract on the table. It was an incredibly rare event when Luke Ball went to the national draft in 2009. A trade between St Kilda and Collingwood couldn't be made, and with an asking price of $1 million for 2 years, the Pies were good to go. Luckily for them and Ball, he fell to pick 30, with Melbourne, another club with interest, opting to draft kids. The bad blood between Ball and the Saints boiled over as he was dropped in 2009 for not reaching team standards, before coming back for the finals. It was a tense end between a former club captain and best and fairest winner.
To where I needed to go in terms of, at that time, to revive what was a flailing footy career. So I didn't love the attention of it. I understood it, but that was the hardest part of it. And it was the hardest thing I'd done to that point, having to make that move.
In his first season as a Pie, he averaged 21 disposals and kicked 7 goals. A hamstring concern in the preliminary final win made it a long week. He was selected for the grand final, and maybe versing his old side in the first grand final put him off as he gathered just 13 disposals. 12 months ago, he was in the St Kilda jumper, but thankfully for him, the black and white was the correct choice. 25 disposals in the rematch win was a great effort.
Emotions after that game, after winning, how did it feel?
Yeah, mixed. Yeah, I do. I get asked about that a lot. I understand why. You know, I had 8 years with the guys on the other side of the fence and had been in that exact position. You know, playing in a losing grand final. There's no worse feeling in footy. With them 12 months earlier, so I sort of look back at that and think that's not how you're supposed to react on a final siren when you're part of a winning premiership team. But that was my sort of natural reaction, perhaps out of respect of those other guys. I knew what they were feeling.
Ball went on to play 4 more seasons for Collingwood, kicking a match-winning goal in the preliminary final the following year. These players were far more fortunate than those who left teams destined for a premiership win. Timing is everything, and each of the stories is a little different and shows the wide range of reasons for leaving. Maybe someone in 2024 can join this group of those who left to a new team, winning it all straight away.